Welcome back to Flying Upstream. I'm your host, Kristyn, and today we're exploring a story of resilience, reinvention, and community empowerment. Our guest today is Olivia Blaine, a proud member of the Menominee. I'm sorry. Can you help me say that word?
It's Menominee.
Thank you. A proud member of the Menominee Nation who grew up on the reservation and is on a mission to create abundance, not just for herself, but for her entire community. I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today to share her wisdom, vision, and actionable advice for others who want to break free from traditional systems and create a meaningful life. So let's get to it. Welcome to our podcast, Olivia.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. All right. So I'm sure our audience is very curious to know, growing up on a reservation as a member of your community, what was that like with the community? How did the culture influence your views on abundance and creativity?
That's a great question. So it was great growing up because I did have a lot of people around. That whole thing of it takes a village to raise a kid, raise children. So there were people around to ask if we had questions about stuff, or just people around to kind of help guide us. But the thing about the abundance is and financial IQs, that is something that I have just recently, within the past couple of years, have learned about and keep learning about more and more about, because that was definitely not something that was taught, only because my mom did not know that, um, and neither did my grandma, and a lot of other people like that. I would say that we were in like survival mode, just learning how to survive day to day, things like that. And my recent journey of that is like, okay, I decided, I'm going to get out of survival mode, and I'm going to read all this stuff, and I'm going to learn how to um, take my money that I make, or like take something that I like doing, make a lot of money off of it, turn it around, 10x it, and reinvest it in things so that I can make that abundance. And as I grasp hold of that and do that, I really want to do that to help more people, not just on my reservation, but other reservations out there, because it's, like I said, it's not something that everybody knows too much of, or there probably are other reasons why not, but the main thing is that survival mode. It's like you have to just survive and pay your bills and go to work and stuff like that. But I want people to know that there's more to life than that. And
Hmm.
thank you to the digital
Yeah.
age that we
Great.
can sell things online. We can do things like you don't have to just work your job and be miserable. Like, you can work your job and put that money aside and start learning how to invest it
Yeah.
and get things and break out of the rat race. Or if you like your job, keep in going that, and invest in things, and then have that money just for emergencies or whatever. Just understanding that it's possible to have more abundance in your life than just that whole 9 to 5 grind of the rat race and things like
So
that.
are you still living on the reservation now?
I am not. I haven't been since, like, after I graduated high school.
Hmm.
I left a while ago, but and that was one of the things why I left, because back then, after I graduated high school in like 1997, there wasn't really a whole lot, and there still really isn't too much there for employment wise. But like I said, with the information age, there are so many things. Like, I'm even in this class about learning how to use AI and stuff to um, build things for people and do things like that. So you don't have to leave the reservation if you don't want. If you feel like you want to stay home and stay connected, because a lot of people don't want to leave their, whatever their comfort zone is, whatever it is that they want to stay there. But just to know that you can stay there and you can still make pretty good money, and you can make a decent living for yourself. And um
Yeah.
just that there's those opportunities out there.
So I'm curious, a lot of our guests have taken these alternate paths that growing up were told to them were really off limits, but as they grew up and saw the world in a different way, they chose to take those paths. And in some ways it meant breaking a rule, whether it was a rule of their household, of society's rules, uh, sometimes the law, those kinds of rules. So what rule do you feel like you had to break in order to get out of that cycle and get where you are today?
So when I think, as I think about that, one, I know I could probably name a lot of different things that I had to think of that I had to do, but that was definitely just willing to go and be willing to try and fail and learn from those things, because I did have like one of my grandmas that was like, oh no, don't leave. It's not safe out there. You need to stay here with us. And like I had people that wanted me to stay, but I don't know. There was just that something inside of me, like that calling, I guess, if you will. It was like, even when I was a little kid, I just had this feeling deep down that I knew I was going to do something big with my life. I didn't know what, I didn't know how. And I just knew it. Like I just had that feeling inside. And it took a while for the clarification on that. But now I'm understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that I broke that rule and just was like, you know what, I'm going to go on my own and I'm going to explore and I'm going to do what I got to do to make it out there.
Yeah. So it sounds like the culture you grew up in had a very clear set of guidelines and you had to kind of go against that to change your life. And I'm curious to know, what were some of the limiting beliefs that you grew up with that now are not true?
Yeah, there was a lot of things, unfortunately, out there that, like I think because, well, and I've explored this topic to a deeper extent because I wanted some more understanding when it came to that. And I thought about how hard it was for my grandmother when she um, finished school, that there, if you didn't have money, of course there was limited things you could do, like be a secretary or things like that back then. And then you probably had to have money to go to those schools. And the same thing for my mom. My mom had, or there were options. I think there were schools that they were allowed to get in, that you could get into. But I'm sure it was really hard because, there was a whole lot of things about like people that were, didn't like the Indigenous people stereotypes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to get through, and just um, not having those opportunities like that really just made me even more grateful, because now there's so many more opportunities out there and I'm taking advantage of those. And yeah, I just, man, I can't even express that I was
Amazing.
just willing to, go do this, because I want to do this for other people. I've been trying to do this for all of the kids underneath me coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That whole auntie thing that we have.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of gratitude for your journey. And I always love hearing that, because even though we all face challenges of varying degrees, it's the path we take that's hard that gets us to the place that is amazing. And it sounds like that was a little bit of it for you too. And with that in mind, I'm curious to know, what drew you to pursue a career as a school counselor, and how did that align with your desire to support your community?
Well, I was initially working in the schools as an educational assistant, and I found myself talking with the kids about different things, because they felt comfortable, they trusted me, and they'd open up to me. We talk about things, and I was like, I wonder what more I could do with this. And I found out about being, there was an opportunity to become a school counselor, but I had to go back to school and get a master's. And I was like, oh man, I don't know about that. But I did it, and just going through just those things of being able to further like assist my students, because especially as I got into grad school and I started getting those soft counseling skills and things like that, I was just like, yeah, this is right. I know this is going to be good. I'm going to be able to do good with this. um I'm going to be able, I could just see myself going somewhere with this. I don't know what the extent where I'm going to go with it, but like I know I can see I'm going to do good with for the students that way. And um as far as my family members and like community people, um I like it because I think the way I was like one of those like standoffish kind of looking kids. Didn't I mean I spoke my opinion when I needed to, but for the most part, I just was like, whatever. I'm just trying to do my work and graduate and get out of here. But most people will probably be amazed at all the stuff that, like, wow, I can't believe you've done all that. And I think because that gives, they see like, oh wow, just, she was one of the ordinary kids in school. Nobody ever made a fuss with her about doing anything big, like none of the teachers, whatever. And she made it. And I always tell people like I'm like the school counselor that I needed back in the day. So that's what was one of the things that drew me. But unfortunately, I did leave that position because there's too much red tape and stuff in the schools. And I was like, you know what? There's a way for me to take it to a higher platform. And that's my current mission right now.
I really appreciate what you're saying, that you wanted to be the person that you wish you had growing up. And I think that in itself is the best kind of motivation, because it's saying that you want to break the cycle. You want to inspire other people to take their own path, follow their dreams, don't be limited by your surroundings, but really be you being there to try to spread that message, and especially in a school, which is the best place for that. And so I think that from what you're saying is that time that you were in the school, you were really able to impact so many people, which is just beautiful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I have. And I've actually, because I've been with the school district for 13 years now, I went back to being an educational assistant because I kind of had to rebounded, if you will. As I'm trying to fund everything else, I was like, well, I'm going to stay in there doing that. But I've ran into students that I knew, like last year, one of my kiddos that graduated high school. A couple of my kiddos graduated high school I knew since they were in second grade, and I've had other people that I knew that went through the school, and I saw in the community, and they run up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, do you remember me? You were my favorite teacher," and stuff, like that kind of stuff. And that to me is just like when they tell me about how happy they were that I was there to support them emotionally and everything besides just like getting their work done. Makes my heart feel so full and so happy. And that's like the best award. I mean, I might not ever get any kind of awards for anything, but you know what? Just whenever kids come up and tell me how much I made a difference, even the smallest little thing, like that's the best like counselor of the year award that I could ever get, or any kind of important accolade, just to know that I've made that impact, because that was always been my goal. Like I really want to help my students see that there's more to life than just getting that job, and you don't have to just not I don't like to knock anybody's dream. Like I don't want them to think that to make money they only have to play basketball or they only have to play sports. Like you're really good at art, you like being on your phone, you should design apps, you could be a UX designer, you could do this stuff, and they make good money. And you need to be in something that you're gonna like, because if you don't like it, that whatever salary it is, it doesn't matter.
That is
And that's
absolutely.
that's the kind of thing that's mine right here.
Yeah, you're totally spot on. It's so important to have your core beliefs of who you are as a person aligned with the way that you spend your time, which for most of us is having a job, making some money. So important, because it's very hard to succeed long term if those two are not aligned. And it's so beautiful that you've seen that in yourself and you're able to share that with other people too. And I'm curious to know, how did you know when it was time to leave the school? And it sounds like you've come back now, but or maybe the question is, how did you know when it was time to take a different path and pursue something you mentioned more digitally? What was that decision like for you?
Well, there were many layers to that aspect that built up to that, because I definitely went through a rough period the last 2 years. I only had 3 years in as a counselor, but I was at like four different schools in the K-8 level, and I had a supervisor that just was not the nicest to me, and I just I don't know, like I mentioned, like the red tape, these little things that you have to do. That, ASCA says this, the American School Counselor Association, and all these things like that you just have to follow. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I'm not. I'm kind of not. I don't know. Like, I like to follow the rules because I know we need rules for there are rules for a reason. Otherwise, there'd be extreme chaos. But at the same time, there's things that I'm just like, you know what? I really don't like some of the so some of the lessons that I was supposed to teach. Reconfigured them, and I figured out ways to like play games and to
Hmm.
be more interactive than to just stand in front of the class and kind of lecture, especially for like the younger kids, because like my fifth graders, that I love it. I created this. This is one of my educational products. I created this career bingo game where it teaches about present and future careers, and it talks, they learn about college terms, like what a major is, and then things in the workforce of like resumes and things like that. And they loved it every time I went in the classroom, because I go rotating, for the little kids and the bigger kids, and they'd be like, are we going to play the bingo game?
Amazing.
and
Amazing.
I'm so happy that they love that. I was like, yeah, you guys, I'm really happy you guys really like this. It's so much more fun than me just lecturing about a career. And they're like, yeah,
Oh,
that's so boring. And that's something that I love about the kids, is that they're just honest. They don't hold back.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, how do you think that the digital age, as you mentioned, is helping to transform possibilities for Indigenous people who are still living on reservations? And what excites you most about these changes?
Well, because I was able to create a lot of my stuff and put it on like Amazon. So I create some journals
Oh,
and
wow.
things like that I sell on Amazon. And I created a sewing book, and I'm trying to look for some places to teach some sewing classes, some like basic sewing skills, just to kind of get out there to meet people. Because as you know, the way selling goes now, people don't buy your product, they buy you. And so they got to know you. Otherwise, they're like turned off if they don't know, because you just don't know. And I get that, because there's things that I've been given, and or people try to sell me on something, and I'm just like, no, no, no. I just say no right away, because I'm just like, I don't know. Well, because I have tried some other things before. Like I tried this Shopify store where they would build it for me for just like $20 and it'd give me stuff, but I ended up with like this $800 bill, for some program. They never built my store, nothing like that. So I've kind of fell victim. I don't want to even say fell victim, but like I learned a lesson. I learned a valuable lesson, maybe not to be so quick to like jump into some of those things, maybe research them a little bit more and talk to other people or something like that. But because there's always important lessons to be learned in things. And that was something that, another aspect of that helped me to understand, like,
Hmm.
I guess go back to that too, to be like, you know what, this job isn't you, this salary isn't this isn't just what you are. You're so much more, and you've got so much more skills, you've got so much more that you can take it out there. And with the digital age, I can, get my stuff sold online. I even want to get it sold in stores. And I know a lot of people that create things, like they do ribbon skirts, they do beadwork, they do, like wood carvings and things like that, to learn how to make money on that. Keep going with it, like buy back the supplies. And then, when you get a big contract, don't just like run out, buy it, but like think about ways to invest it.
Hmm.
It's okay that you're not splurging on everybody, for a minute, but it's better to know that how to invest in stuff. And I think if once I really understand it and I tell people that, that'll help a little bit more.
Absolutely. So, Olivia, our time has flown by, and we have one last question for you. I'm feeling so inspired by your story, and I want to know, what advice would you give to our listeners for people who may be in a similar position, kind of stuck, and they want to break free? What would you say to them?
Oh, that is a great question, because I like that. And that's been my whole big thing, is that I I know what that was like and how painful that felt to be in that position, and being pushed out of my comfort zone. Um I have to say that you have to go with it. Like, try it. If you, people have an idea of what they want to do, but we're scared. Like, I understand that not everybody wants to jump out and do that, because I know people are like, well, I need to pay my bills and stuff. I get that. So I don't by any means like belittle anybody for not doing their thing, because I could have done this sooner, but we get there when we get there. But the thing is that for my own mental health and my happiness and peace, like, I had to pursue this. I couldn't stay a school counselor, because I wouldn't have been in a good way if I had. And I really encourage people, like, whatever it is you're obsessed about, something, there's something that you find the passion in and you want to do, and there's a way to take it to the next level if you want to, and it's okay. It seems like that used to be something like frowned upon. Like, I was just gonna start researching that thing about, how people used to say, well, get a real job or something like that. Like, to say what, talk about that. What does that even mean anymore? With things like that now, the way we can monetize our passions and stuff like that is so much easier than it was like 15, 20 years ago. So I just say to people, like, you just embrace it, and get out there, do what it is that you makes you happy. And my other thing is, I have this little, I've given a little speech, because I know you mentioned something about teaching things. So I have this little thing in another speech that I did to talk about an acronym that I came up with, was love, which is L, live life to the fullest. O, open your heart, because you don't know what other people are going through, and because there's hurt people that hurt people. When you're healing, you learn how to just let that go, or you get better at that. V, value every encounter. People, you never know what people can teach you, or what you'll teach other people, or how you'll positively impact somebody else's life, because they're the way people are going through things. Just even kind words, telling somebody how great they are, goes a long way. We might not see it right in this moment, but that does a lot for people. And I say, so the last thing is E, for just embrace every moment, because there's so much out there, and I don't want people to be scared of trying things. It's okay if we fail. Like, as human beings, that's how we're designed. That's how we learn. We try things and they don't work out. You just have to get better at pivoting, and making a choice, and that doesn't work out. Okay, pivot to the next thing, instead of sitting there brooding about it and being sad and all that. Just take a second, figure out what the lessons are, and go.
That is so beautiful. And I love your love acronym. It's just beautiful. Such a good reminder, too. Olivia, I really want to thank you for being with us today. And to all of our free spirits out there, if Olivia's story resonated with you, don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, keep questioning, exploring, and taking those extraordinary paths. We'll see you next time.